Well, Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. We are in the holiday season, and as we are embarking upon this season of Advent, we have a special podcast with a man that needs no introduction. Pastor Max Lucado is in the house. I've called you the general of the faith, the hero in the faith, and you have been with us this weekend at Community Bible Church, and I just wanted to get 20 minutes with you.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate the time. And you just delivered a message to Tetelestai. And I love the fact that you were like, I know what you're thinking, I'm confused that this is Easter because I'm sharing a Good Friday message. But I love, how did you say that? You said that.
What did I say? I said the reason that we wouldn't have the cross if it wasn't for the cradle.
That's
or
right.
Something like that. You know, we wouldn't have, maybe I said it the other way. The reason that the cradle matters is because the cross paid everything. I'm still trying to figure out how
that
I
was
said
it. That was
I ought
it.
to go back and listen to
No,
the
that
sermon.
was incredible. That was it. And you had delivered a message today that resonated. And when I say resonate, sometimes we use that word like it just resonated with me. I would say it didn't just resonate, it reverberated in our soul. It reverberated in mine. And watching our congregation all across our locations, knowing this to be true, that your vulnerability and authenticity. And I want to say this out loud. You have pastored me. You have been a spiritual father to me. You have cared for my wife and I. You've even called me at moments where I'll never forget, I was at Home Depot and you were like, you called me and I told Stephanie, I said, I got to take this call. And you go, Ed, what are you doing? And I said, I'm about to go into Home Depot. And this is all you said. You go, I need you guys to hold hands at Home Depot and make it a date. And then you hung up. But that kind of sentiment is what has reverberated in all of us because you're such a shepherd. And when you talked about Tetelestai in your personal testimony of all that God has done for you, celebrating, I love how you said this, your golden years of what God has done.
Yeah. This year is really important for me because of that. My next birthday is just next month. I'll be 71. When I was 20, which is 50 years ago, I still can't quite wrap my head around that.
You're a young 70.
But, that's a half a century. And God has been so good to me. But when I was 20, that's when I trusted the grace of Christ. And the greatest news I've ever come across is grace.
The level of vulnerability that you shared, and when grace met you, you talked about your past and of what all that you battled, and just with alcohol and shame and all of what you faced. And you were just very, you got to go back and watch this message to all of you that are listening on our Why Not You podcast. I think it is a message that is timeless. We use that phrase evergreen. It lives for a long time. But when you talked about hearing a man preach still a little bit hungover and did not believe that message could apply to you.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate?
I was raised by wonderful parents. No parents are perfect, but mine were great. And my dad was raised in a home of alcoholism. He was one of 9 kids.
Wow.
Big family. He was born in 1914, so I kind of came along later in his life. But he was one of 9, and of those 9, goodness, I better not throw a number out because my relatives might really press it. But quite a few battled alcoholism of those siblings, and his father battled it, and my big brother, who's in heaven now, battled it. So that tendency, that proclivity toward alcohol, is certainly a part of our family story. And I sensed it early myself. I began drinking when I was 15, and I really can remember that the exhilaration that, most people, my wife being one of them, she'll take a taste of beer and she'll say, nah. But I took it and I said, man, this is this is magic. This is an elixir. It did something to me. It shifted my mood. It changed my way of my sky, even though I wasn't really depressed necessarily, but everything went to Technicolor. It's really a strange thing.
You said you met a new best friend.
Made a new best friend.
That's
I
what you
started
said.
building my life. I was only 15, 16 years old, and I would begin thinking, okay, come Friday, who's going to go out? Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? We began building our calendars around beer, keg parties,
Yep.
six-packs, and sneaking around. And that just became my God. My God. And I became a mess as a result. You know, Ed, I was... I learned to work the system. I was kind of slick. I could. I flirted a lot with girls. I always had ulterior motives with friends. Didn't have any demonstration of Christian faith. And it was alcohol was beginning to take me down. So without repeating the whole sermon, I'll just say that my dad said, if you're going to go to college and you want me to help you, I'm sending you to a Christian school. Now, no Christian schools are perfect, you know, and I learned that. I changed my zip code, but I didn't change my heart. I was still running with a wild group at Abilene Christian University. While at ACU, I was required to attend Bible classes, you know, for credit, and had a professor who loved Jesus with all of his heart, like Carl Burkeen. Boy, he loved Jesus. I had a roommate who loved Jesus, and you know him well, Steve Green. He's my best friend to this day. And he took me to church on the Sundays I would go and listen to a pastor in Abilene, Texas. And Lynn Anderson, of all things, a Canadian who had moved to Texas. I still never knew how he got to Texas. I did his funeral some years ago. He attended our church in San Antonio after he retired. Just a wonderful man of God, and boy, he loved Christ. And between those three, they just began. I don't know if you picked up in the sermon. I said my heart was strangely warmed. That's a John Wesley phrase, isn't it? That's what happened to me. I just felt my heart getting warm. And took me 2 years, though. Ed, took me 2 years. I just didn't think Jesus could forgive a jerk like me. I was the exception to the rule. But finally, 50 years ago, in March of 1975, the pastor Lynn preached a sermon about grace that it pierced me.
Wow.
And so the reason you're such a part of this story is I told my wife when I saw that anniversary coming, I said, honey, what's an Ebenezer way of commemorating this? I said, I think I'll get Tetelestai. It is paid, or it is finished, what Jesus said before he gave up his spirit on the cross. I think I'll get that tattooed on my arm. And she was fine with that. She said, great, but you don't know anybody who can, you know, who do you know who can help you do this? I said, I know just the guy. And I called you. You must have fallen out of your chair.
I tell you exactly where I was at. I was in Oceanside. Do you remember? You go, what are you doing? And I said, we're on spring break. And you felt, you were like, I'm so sorry. I said, no. I said, Pastor Max, it's rainy and we were going to go surf and we got nothing to do. And you go, and I'll never forget how you led. You go, I've never asked a man this question. And at that moment, my mind, I did not know what was coming next. But I can say this out loud. I definitely did not think it was going to be a tattoo question.
Well, I knew you. I mean, I'd seen you
sir.
And seen the sermons, especially the one where you break down and talk about what they mean to you. And that just touched my heart. And I don't know if that's why I had the idea. I think the idea came somewhere else. But regardless, you were my...
Unbelievable.
You were my guy.
Well, we ended up getting tattoos that day. And this, Cam, I don't know. It hit me today when Pastor Max was sharing to our church, and he put the actual graphic so all of us could see the word, because the way Pastor Max described it, he said, Tetelestai is spelled in Greek with 3 T's. And this picture right now that we're putting up, I will never be able to unsee.
Wow.
It gripped me when I was sitting there, and you were like, everybody look at this, and you were like, it's got 3 T's for 3 crosses, and I went, it's been there the whole time. By definition, graphic artists will call that the Easter egg.
Yeah.
Like the FedEx logo has the arrow in the EX. Somebody might not be familiar with what I'm talking about, but there's these graphic images that are so much like, for example, you could see. Thank you, Cam. This is the Greek phrase in that says Tetelestai, but in the English
translation,
it spells
it's
with
more
3
pronounced. Yeah, it's got 3 T's.
3 T's in it.
So it's like 3 crosses.
3 crosses, and it is something I will never forget because Tetelestai means paid in full, and it was all afforded by the cross.
Yeah.
And I will. It's on the list of many tattoos that are coming in my future, but I am going to. I just want to be able to say I have matching tattoos with Pastor Max, but I think the fact that we have Tetelestai on our heart is
what matters.
Is what matters. And you even said that tonight, and you share. I think the first time you shared this story about the tattoo, you were in Nashville. The first time you'd ever mentioned it publicly was in Nashville, and it was an arena event with Chris Tomlin.
Right.
And K-Love did an interview with you, and you told the story, and you didn't mention my name. Praise God, you didn't mention my name. But a lot of people deduced that were listening from San Antonio went immediately, and I don't know what that says about me. They were like, it's Ed. He's the one that, and then I started getting messages of, I'm such a bad influence on you.
I didn't know this part. That's funny.
However,
That's funny.
as you said, at 70, you're like, I don't really care. I didn't do it for anybody else. And I just think for me, it is a story that we'll always be able to tell and of sharing a moment. But that message tonight, and we could just wrap this up tonight, was kind of the idea. And we felt led to give an invitation for people who needed to walk in grace. You gave a definition of shame, and it, once more, reverberated with so many people. And you said shame is, the difference between guilt and shame, guilt is I did bad, shame is I am bad. And tonight we gave an invitation, and nearly 100 people came forward to be prayed for, to be unlocked. Believers in Jesus, but just needed to walk away from shame. And
I think we live in a shame-drenched
absolutely.
world.
I was going to ask you if you want to elaborate
church
on that.
Society even is no exception. The many things that we struggle with. It's a secret world we live in these days with internet. And so the messages we send back and forth to people, or the pornography and the addiction that creates, or the movies that we might watch, since it's kind of a world in darkness. It's I know we say it's a dark world, but I think internet has created another level. Ed, I'm curious what you would think.
I agree.
Just shadows,
Yes.
because you can have a whole world after everybody else has gone to bed on your phone.
That's right.
Right? And when I was growing up, you couldn't do that. I mean, I don't care who you were. You'd have to get up and go outside and go down the street. If you
To a
knew
location.
a place to go, you had to change locations. And so consequently, there are dads, there are moms, there are teenagers, there are college students, and they're leading double lives, and it's just weighing them down. I use that phrase that shame sucks the soul out of the soul. It really does. It just depletes a person. And it either makes us angry or insecure. It creates one of the two. We get angry at the world, which is a curious thing, but I think we take it out on others, or we feel so insecure that we just do not think that we are worth anything. The Christian gospel, Jesus Christ stepped into this world, and he became sin for us. He became sin for us. He who knew no sin became sin for us. He surrendered his heavenly privileges and entered the world and took on our flesh. And he was tempted in every way, just as we are, yet without sin. And so we can approach the throne of grace with boldness because we know he understands what it's like. And so I do think this is an essential message. Grace, you know, at the risk of oversimplifying it, I love to say there's just two religions.
That's right.
There really are.
That was a
for all
statement.
the college courses on religions in the world, and they list 20 or so.
Yes.
There's just two. And even in the Christian circles, they're not all Christian because they're teaching a legalism.
That's right.
A form of save yourself, self-salvation. And so there's one religion that says save yourself and the other religion that says Jesus saves you. And it just boils down to that.
I love how you said it. There's two religions. There's one that says do, and there's one that says done.
Yeah.
There's many that say do.
Oh,
There's
so
only
many.
one that says done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, your time with us could not be more strategic. And I said this to our church family. Nothing ushers in more of a Christmas spirit outside of Jesus being the reason of it than Max Lucado.
Well,
because all of us that have, by the way, we had a gentleman with us that was that I invited that was visiting tonight who had not known you, had no idea who you were. And I chat GPT'd you while you were preaching. And this is what it said. It was like 150 books, or more than 100 books, 150 million copies. And he just all of a sudden was like, what? And I said, yeah, that's him. That's him. But God has used a man who felt that God couldn't use him, couldn't save him. And probably along the way didn't feel like God could use you. And I said this in the introduction, you're America's pastor. You're my pastor. And to have you as my friend, brother, and mentor, shepherd, you've texted me so many times. I remember one time you texted me at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning because you knew I was up getting ready for church, and you just said, Joseph's favors on your life. And you would just give me these little nuggets that just were wind in the sail, or as I like to say, WD-40 on a rusty bike chain.
Ed, you're a hero to me.
Oh.
What you do and what you've done, your 10 years here, and your impact on the city, over 4,000 baptisms this year. That's a mega church just
incredible.
Right there. It's extraordinary. And being a senior pastor is a challenging job. It is. I did it for decades.
Yes,
I
sir.
know. You have to be a mayor sometimes. You have to be a pastor sometimes. And you've got to know when to be which. And you do it so well.
Well, I'm watching you and giving a shout out to Danny Sinkfield, my spiritual father as well, in Memphis, Tennessee. The stalwarts of the faith, I've just tried to just stay real close to. And the greatest sermon you've ever preached, Pastor Max, is actually not behind a pulpit. It's the word of faithfulness. Your sermon over all these years of faithfulness. And I just want to say thank you. And yes, and I know you got another book in the pipeline. I don't want to give that away, but I'm just telling you, if you're like my friend tonight who had never heard of Max Lucado, which, by the way, I was like, how have you not heard of Max Lucado? Which, by the way, that was a great story that I forgot to mention, and I got to share that when you were getting a tattoo, the gentleman that I was talking to who was doing your tattoo, he goes, who's this guy? And when he got ready to do your tattoo, he called you the wrong name. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
He didn't even call you Max. I think he called you Don, Bob, Jim. It was something with 3 letters is all I know. And then you didn't correct him because that's how humble you are. He did the tattoo. You leave. I stay to get a tattoo. And I said to the tattoo artist, I go, do you not know who? He goes, no idea. I go back for another tattoo, probably about a month later, and he goes, "Hey, that guy that I did the tattoo for Tetelestai," he goes, "He mailed me a box of books, a handwritten letter, and you had done that." And he goes, "My wife goes, how do you know Max Lucado? He goes, I tattooed him. I didn't know who he was. And his wife said, I have all his books. And God used you in a tattoo shop to bring hope. And God has used you everywhere you go. And it's just a reminder that God could use you. And that's why we say, why not you? And if you have not subscribed to the podcast, I want to encourage you to do this, but also I want you to follow Pastor Max Lucado online. Here's the reason why, because K-Love Fan Awards voted #1 podcast was you, by the way. And you continue to minister to people digitally, in person, and in print. And I'm just grateful that you would spend time with us. And so until we meet again, you want to say anything else in closing?
I just want to say thanks for paying for my tattoos. Did I say that already?
No, but it's great. You got a Tetelestai tattoo that was paid for in
There's
grace.
something wonderful about that.
In grace is what that was. And your sin has been paid for by grace as well, Tetelestai. And as always, make sure you pass this on. Pass this on to a friend that might need a word of encouragement. And make sure you go back and check out this message from Pastor Max Lucado. Until we meet again, much love.